Good day everyone, we're the Group 8 and for today, we were going to report the principle of check and balance in the branches of Philippine government and the separation of church and state in the Philippines. So before we start, let me show you first the list of my group member. The principle of check and balance in the branches of Philippine government. Check and balance, principle of government under which separate branches are empowered to prevent action by other branches and induce to share power. Check and balances are applied primarily in constitutional governments. They are fundamental importance in tripartite governments such as that of the United States, which separate powers among legislative, executive, and judicial branches.
What are the principles of check and balance? The Philippines is a republic with a presidential form of government wherein power is equally divided among its three branches, executive, legislative, and judicial. The government seeks to act in the best interest of its citizens through their system of check and balance. The
5 examples of check and balances. First, election of senators, direct election of senators by popular vote. Second, veto powers. Press can veto congressional decision while Congress can override veto by 2/3 vote. Third, separation of power between branches. Fourth, Congress thus declared war. And fifth, judicial review.
Principle of check and balances. The legislative branch makes law, but the president in the executive branch can veto those laws with a presidential veto. The legislative branch makes laws, but the judicial branch can declare those laws unconstitutional. The executive branch, through the federal agencies, has responsibility for day-to-day enforcement and administration of federal laws. These federal departments and agencies have mission and responsibilities that vary widely, from environmental protection to protecting the nation's borders.
The president in the executive branch can be veto a law, but the legislative branch can be override that veto with enough votes. The legislative branch can be declare executive orders, which are like proclamation that carry the force of a law, but the judicial branch can declare those act unconstitutional. The judicial branch interprets laws, but the president nominates Supreme Court justice, Court of Appeal judges, and District Court judges who make the evaluation. The judicial branch interprets law, but the Senate in the legislative branch confirm that president nomination for judicial position, and Congress can impeach any of those judges and remove them.
The separation of church and state in the Philippines. The 1987 Constitution of the Philippines declares the separation of church and state shall be inalienable. Article 2, Section 6, and no law shall be made respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The free exercise and enjoyment of religious profession and worship without discrimination or reference shall forever be allowed. No religious test required for the exercise of civil or political rights. Article 3, Section 5. The Supreme Court of the Philippines, ruling the 2003 and 2006 and the landmark case of Estrada versus Excretor, established the doctrine of benevolent neutrality accommodating. The 2006 ruling pin by former Chief Justice Puno explained benevolent utility in the context of U.S. jurisprudence as follows.
History. By passing through the numerous phases of colonial occupation, the relationship between religion and government in the Philippines has repeatedly changed. The country had close ties between the Catholic Church and the government during the Spanish colonial period from 1565 to 1898. The American concept of separation church and state was introduced during the American colonial period. In the Philippine Constitution of 1899, that remains a part of the Philippine Constitution today.
Spanish period. Filipino nationalists in 1898 framed a constitution for an independent Philippines Republic. There were heated discussions on the provision on state and religion. Felipe Calderon presented his draft proposal calling for a Catholicism to be made the state religion. According to Jesuit historian John Scamacher, Calderon then attacked the position of Apolinario Mabini, who had insisted on the separation of church and state. 1516, the Calderon proposal, however, was defeated by a single vote, and the provision was finally passed. The Malolos Constitution, the state in Article 5.